Welcome to Money Making Conversations Masterclass. I am your host, Rashawn McDonald. I recognize that we all have different definitions of success. For you, it may be the size of your paycheck. Mine is inspiring people to accomplish their goals and live their very best life. It's time to stop reading other people's success stories and start writing your own. People always talk about gifts and passions and purposes. If you have a gift, lead with your gift. And don't let your friends, family, or coworkers stop you from planning or living your dream. In a world that is increasingly dependent on technology, STEM, education is very important for the future of our kids and future jobs, and to have basic knowledge of the computer programming that is put forth to us every day via your phone, tech-related skills. Brothers Harold and Hans Vancol, that's a great name, can talk organically about the experience of getting involved with the Limitless Initiative and the KIPR robot simulator project they're helping to spearhead. The organic story of how they were introduced to the Limitless and why they got involved with the project is pretty inspiring. Harold and Hans Vancol are founders of their consulting company, HV Unlimited, where they work to help companies get into the gaming space. They're also leaders at Grab Games, a gaming company that creates entertainment in the VR or AR-enabled platforms, games in the virtual reality or augmented reality space. Harold is VP Creative at Grab Games, and Hans is COO at Grab Games. Please welcome to Money Making Conversation for the very first time. I might be robotic today after I finish with these guys. Harold and Hans Vancol. How y'all doing, fellas?
We're doing all right. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm talking to a couple of USC grads in the heart of Los Angeles. Down there, got a new football coach. I don't know. We're not going to dip too far with that, but just got to acknowledge that football may be back on the campus of the University of South Carolina.
We were there during the glory years, so the Reggie Bush era.
I know that's right. Well, so you remember when I'm just speaking off cuff the UT game, probably the greatest football game I've seen in college football. The UT USC game.
It still hurts.
Yeah, that was a brilliant game. This is a brilliant football game. If you're a fan of college football, it's a game you always will remember. But you guys, when I say your name, Harold and Hans, it's the Hans Vancol. It sounds so European. I'm sure you've gotten that a lot, huh, fellas?
Yeah, definitely. Always get asked like, "Oh, are you German?" or "How'd you get that name?" And they always get disappointed when I just tell them, "Yeah, my parents saw it in a baby book and they liked it." So,
so Harold, how did you get your name then? What baby book they saw your name in?
Listen, I'm assuming it's the same thing, but my name doesn't draw as many reactions as Hans does. So.
But what does draw reaction is the fact that you guys are in the, we hear the word STEM being thrown out a lot. STEM, they say the America is falling backwards or behind in the STEM educational platforms. And especially when you minorities or people of color, the STEM education platform almost becomes non-existent. And then we had the pandemic jump all over us and turn into virtual living, which means that you have to have some clear understanding of computer or how to use your phone for your child to be educated. And we all know that the footprint for internet is not always available for people of color. So when I say those things, what saddens you the most about what has happened to the minority community the last 2 years with the pandemic tied to education?
That's a big question. I think, there's already a bit of a divide in terms of educational opportunities and kind of what kids have access to.
Right.
When I first showed up in high school, I was meeting all these people. It was the first time that I'd really gotten exposed to a lot of people outside of my immediate area. And they're starting in Spanish 2 and, advanced algebra and all these things. And I'm like, man, you guys had those classes at your school?
Right.
And, they had music classes and different languages and, computer courses and all that stuff. And it starts so early that those diverging paths, and seeing that there's just different opportunities at different schools,
right,
can really set people way ahead or start people, behind the starting blocks. And so when you look at that as a basis, the pandemic only made it worse.
Right.
You have these situations where, like I think some like 80% of kids, at or below the poverty line, couldn't even regularly attend their remote classes.
Right.
Because, there's situations at home and different things going on. And, the school was a place where, one, you knew where your kids were going to be. And two, you had people really guiding what it was that they were doing. And so, the pandemic just kind of widened that, because now you're bringing in, what, like you mentioned, what internet do they have access to? What hardware do they have access to? And so you started to see a lot of programs start to come up to try to get hardware into the hands of kids, try to give families, better internet access, cheaper internet access, because unfortunately, economic, factors really play into the barriers that kids have for education. And, we don't think that should be the case. So the pandemic just kind of widened a gap that kind of already existed.
Now, the gap, when you talk about it, Hans, when you start talking about VR, which is virtual reality and augmented reality, that's if you're not even on the plane of 2 + 2 is 4 equal 4, then the distance is even more amazing, because what you're talking about is what we're seeing basically in the Marvel movies. They're bringing that life. Walking into a store and you see a dinosaur standing over you. Because I was fortunate with a contract I had with the Air National Guard to get into the augmented. And it's really there's a 3D world that really exists. And I know there's some type of programming now where I was working with this guy. He was in London, and then on my cell phone, I was able to appear like he was on my front step with me talking. That's how advanced this programming is getting. It's almost getting to a version of teleporting somebody. It was almost like I teleported him from London to my front step, and on my phone, he was sitting right next to me on the sofa on my front step. So how can we catch up, or are we fighting a game that we won't catch up with, Hans?
I think it all starts at really establishing the knowledge set from a core level with the kids that are coming up and the people that are in high school and going to college. I think the main piece with all of this technology that's blowing us away daily is, at its core, it's a programming language or some set of rules that apply across these different technology areas. So I think more and more people need to understand how critical it is to learn these skills, because technology is not going away.
Right.
As we know, everybody is very dependent on their phone. And the phone does many, many, many things for us. It makes our lives a lot easier, but it's all technology driven.
Well, it's interesting because I'm old school. I go back to the Fortran and the Pascal programming days.
Yeah.
I'm like a dinosaur when I was back there programming versus what they're doing today. Hans, when you look at augmented reality programming, what has blown you away the most about that? What have you seen out there that you can tell or people who are watching this or people who are listening to this about the future of augmented and why that is so powerful?
Well, I mean, just in the name itself, it's something that's meant to improve your already existing reality.
Right.
So there's a lot of different projects that we've worked on, a lot of which haven't been released or that we can't talk about in detail.
Oh, really? We're going to have one of them conversations there, huh? We can't talk about it in detail. Hey, man, Harold, can you talk, though, Harold? Can you talk? Because Hans just said he can't talk in detail.
I'll give a little something.
Okay, thank you, brother.
Something.
Thank you.
So, I mean, but, so one of the projects that we've worked on was with the NBA.
Right.
Where just being able to improve that NBA viewing experience.
Right.
And one of the things that augmented reality presents is the ability to deal with volumetric data. So what you were referring to earlier about having a meeting with somebody in London that seemingly was right next to you, you know, that was most likely a volumetric capture. But imagine being able to do that with a tennis match or an NBA game, where on your tabletop you can see the entire court of a Lakers game, and all the players are doing their highlights and everything right in front of you. And it's a completely different viewing experience.
Harry, you shook your head. You still was like in awe. You was like, yeah. I still hadn't figured that out yet, but I'm working with it.
Yeah, sometimes we've done so much stuff. It's, you know, sometimes you forget what some of your favorite projects were and how it's going to evolve the game. Like, if you can imagine a team watching film and they got to sit in a room and watch the film, but, you know, why not walk onto a court and, you know, you size up the data, right, and instead of watching the play, you can relive the play again. Let's step through what each person saw from their perspective. Because a lot of the times people are, you know, making calls from the stands or from the bench, but they don't see what the players see. And you can go through frame by frame from that player's perspective and just stand there and watch how a play is developing. You know, that could kind of change the game. But when you start to see, you know, we all know how big sports are. And, you know, leagues like the NBA are some of the most forward thinking in the world. But, you know, there's always people behind the scenes bringing this technology forth. And so, you know, like Hans was saying, it all starts with exposure.
Right.
Who's going to be leading that charge? And like you said, like you were talking about Fortran and dealing with those languages, and we were doing C and C++ and, you know, React and all this new stuff. But, you know, we had to learn it in our later years. You know, imagine what it would be like if a kid grows up with it. Right. Right. It's no different than when kids started to grow up with basketball. And now we're having these generational talents that develop the skill over time. You know, the same thing can happen with programming and learning these languages, because, you know, when these kids were taught the game, nobody expected them to evolve the game the way they did. And when kids grow up with this coding and they start to bring their flavor to it, you know, like we do, you know, that's what's going to be exciting. And that's what's really going to drive the technology forward. And also, you know, elevate our involvement in it, because we consume it and, you know, but we're not creating it as much as we should be.
Right. You know, really interesting. You know, when early in my college life, you know, I was really into computer science, and, you know, I eventually got my degree in mathematics. You know, physics had something to do with that. I just couldn't get past physics, guys. Physics was like a real problem.
Physical thing, yeah.
Physics. I could not get to that. You know, the train leaves at 1:00 and the other train leaves north at 2:00. What time they arrive? I could never get that exact arrival time. So, so I will admit publicly, I got one F on my transcript. It was physics. Then I realized, you know, something, get out of that. You know, math. I went through calculus 1, 2, and 3 without a book. So I do math. I was over there fiddling around with something I shouldn't be fiddling around with. But one thing I did enjoy about computer science was that it was like birthing life, because you're taking an idea and you can animate it, you can redirect it, you can create with it. That was the most enjoyable part of that. You know, the thing about it, when I look at young kids, you know, they look at entertainers, they see dollars, they see big houses. I look at, you know, they look at athletes, they see dollars, they big houses. They don't see the injuries to the athletes, or the athletes who don't make it to the dollars and the big houses. So I had to ask this question: is there money to be made in what you guys are doing?
Very much so.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's one of those things where we call it quiet money a lot of the times.
Right.
Because when we're going to meetings and we're meeting people that are behind the scenes at a Facebook or a Google, like those people aren't as forward facing as athletes and entertainers.
Right.
But those are the people that are enabling the athletes and entertainers
right.
to kind of put themselves out there. Like one of the biggest revelations that we would try to tell people is just like, hey, have you ever heard of a company called AWS, Amazon Web Service?
Right.
And I think just recently they started doing commercials for the first time.
Right.
For the longest time, people that aren't in tech didn't really know what they were. But those guys basically control what is it, Harold? About 60 or 70% of all the websites that
control mine. They control mine. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely up there.
As well as my email blast. Okay. As well as my email blast. Okay.
Yeah, but like you said, those are the people behind the scenes, right? Like, there's no knock on sports and entertainment, but I had a teacher in high school that used to always tell us more people get struck by lightning every year than make it to the NBA, right? And so you're talking about 0.1001%
right.
of everyone who plays basketball can make it to that pinnacle level.
I'm gonna tell you, I don't really like that comparison. I don't want to get struck by lightning. I don't want to be that one. I understand it. That's a painful way to realize you can't accomplish your NBA goal.
But you can always say, like, I've never known anyone that got struck by lightning, right. And that kind of puts it in perspective.
Right.
Like, you don't even know someone who knows somebody who's gotten struck by lightning.
Right.
And so, but a lot of the times that's kind of what's fed to our communities because that's what they see. It's part of the persona of an entertainer or an athlete to show that stuff. It's part of the character. It's part of, what they have to sell, and that's all cool. I mean, I have a crazy sneaker collection. I love the stuff. There's artistry in it. There's all this stuff and people kind of bring their style to it. But, the biggest, the most outwardly facing tech person that we have right now is probably Elon Musk.
Right.
Because he sort of understands.
And he smoked weed. And he openly smoked weed.
Right. And it's like, but what we're trying to push is, there's a lot of people in tech that make great money. Like, you look at the owners of most of these teams, right. And a lot of them made money in the .com stuff.
Mark Cuban.
Yeah, like own Cisco and Google and like all these different teams, like people's favorite teams, favorite players play for teams that these people own.
Right.
And then you look at the Forbes list every year, who's the most richest people is, telecom people, old money, but there's a lot of people in there that are new money, new tech money.
Right.
And so there's a lot of pieces to that pie.
Absolutely.
And all it takes is like we said, exposure. But we understand too. We were kids once,
right?
We're watching Michael Jordan on TV, and we're watching the shoes that he wears, and we want the shoes,
right?
So there's something to be said about how it's presented,
right?
When we were growing up, it's like, oh, the nerds with the coding and the computers and all that. It's not so much that way anymore now, but there's something to be said about that presentation.
So Harold, how could I change that? How can I make y'all cool, man? How can I make y'all, the life of the party? Are y'all already the life of the party? I just don't see it, Hans.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that piece, it's a lot of that is happening,
right?
But the people don't know what they do,
right?
And I think a lot of what Harold and I are trying to do is to at least get more exposure to this space, especially to kids at a young age, so they grow up with it instead of trying to learn it in in college saying like, hey, I have an app idea, but I have no way of building it.
Right.
Let me try to take classes to be able to do stuff. Understanding it at a base level, just like we understand English at a base level, is what we need to have, especially for our community, because we clearly drive a lot of progress on the pop culture stage, just in society in general, and just being able to further establish ourselves in an area that we don't have to go outside of the community to get stuff done. That will just make things skyrocket even more.
Well, it's really, I'm very serious when I talk about, because marketing and branding is what I do. Both of you guys are good looking guys. I could actually interview you guys individually, because y'all both are very articulate, got something to say, as they say. Y'all not one word answer guys, especially Harold. He love to talk. Harold could talk now, he might drift off a little bit, but Harold can talk. Okay, y'all. So when I look at y'all, we have Venus and Serena Williams. They were two mega stars in tennis, and they leaned on each other for success. They had somebody to turn to in a world that stereotype Black people. They went into environments that said, okay, you here, but we're only accepting you because of your talents as an athlete. And you guys are walking into an environment that's very stereotype driven. And some people really say you're not supposed to be there. Or if you're there, they don't expect you to be able to deliver the goods. How do you deal with that? And is there success, a lot of your success tied to the fact that you are siblings?
Well, I mean, the first thing I'll say is the one thing that I like about this field, a lot of it is merit based.
Right.
Can you do it or can you not do it?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can do it, then a team will accept you with open arms because you're able to solve a problem that they need solved.
Right.
So that's what kind of driven a lot of Harold and I's work ethic. We're just like, hey, let's figure out how to learn this stuff, because we can just walk in and instantly contribute, right, and we'll get the respect that we need.
Yeah, and also,
But I heard Harold and I though. You know what I'm saying? That's something, that sibling, that ability to reach back and look at somebody who had your back, or be able to communicate. Do you see what I see? Do you hear what they're talking? And being able to turn to somebody and go, hey man, let's go get this straight. Let's show them what we can do. You know what I'm saying? Because I heard him say Harold and I, and that's why I was just talking about Venus and Serena had each other's back when people told them they couldn't do it. And I know you say the word merit based. They were number 1 and 2 in the world. They in fact reached the finals of Grand Slam, all 4 Grand Slams in 1 year. They were in final, and they were saying that they are going to ruin tennis because they're too dominant. So everybody always has an excuse. And I'm not saying there's no excuse in there, but what always frustrates me is that, when you're a minority, the rules change. The rules started sliding, and the acceptability and the credibility and your accomplishments can be watered down. That's what annoys me. And so when I had an opportunity to interview you guys, I jumped at it because you're the future stars. You're the space cadets. You're our today's hidden figures that need to be moved to the front of the line. Because when you was talking, because I have been fortunate to see a version and live a version the last 3 years of what you guys are doing, and I'm stunned. I was actually stunned when this guy was sitting next to me on my phone, next to me on my front porch, and I knew he was in London. And so a lot of people can't wrap their head around there. Harold, how does that work for you guys being siblings?
Well, it's funny that you bring up Venus and Serena, and then that movie King Richard just came out, and it starts with the parents, right? The parents kind of set us up and gave us these opportunities, but we were always really competitive. I know a lot of siblings really butt heads a lot, and we did just in a competitive way. We'd be playing video games and getting into it, who's winning, and somebody would start winning for a week, then that other one is going to go in the lab, try to get better, and so we kept elevating each other through our competition. And then, it was much easier for me because Hans was, the prototype. I got to watch him. It's like watching myself 2 years ahead.
Right.
He would go through things and go, high school, college, the process, like all of those different things. He went through, and I was always right there, and I could sort of see what was going on, and I could sort of follow in those footsteps, and I can get through much easier, because it's always much easier to do something the second time than it is the first time. But we also work well together.
Right. Like
things that I'm good at, he's better at. Things that he's good at, I'm better at. And we, rather than kind of diverging, we kind of use that to help elevate each other and bring that, into the places that we work. It just, people always take a liking to us. We're always together, and we're always trying to just produce the best product, try to do the best at whatever it is that we're doing. But a lot of people don't understand, going back to what you were saying, that, they don't understand how great we have to be. And I say we as in, people of color, especially in industries like these. Like, you have to be great every day just to get, just to get the credibility that people get for, being regular.
Right.
And that pushes us a lot too, because one, when we run into issues, we kind of know how we have to prepare that next generation. We think that's really important. But also, we're able to see things from multiple different perspectives.
Right.
And, we have friends in the industry, people of color, and we've all had these discussions, and we can see what they're dealing with, and they see what we're dealing with, and even people we work with. And so we know how important diversity is, and we try to foster a work environment where, that isn't the case. So when you have a person of color at a company that's a COO, and you have, people all throughout the structure, because getting people of color into these companies is the one thing, but how far up do they go?
Right.
And so that's been a mission of ours, and we've had the full support of, our CEO, our board, and they give us the opportunity to just do what we do, but also to help bring others up as well.
Right.
And so, that's constantly the mission, is to kind of expose that. And when people see us as a team, one, they're always surprised that brothers can work so well together, but also it's just another person that made it, right? That's doing what it is that we do. And we can spread our wings further that way, rather than trying to hold each other back.
Wow. I'm talking to Harold and Hans. They're I want to say two dominant voices in the augmented world and also the virtual reality world. Hey guys, I just want to say, man, this interview it's a good interview for me, but I got to bring y'all back individually, because of the fact that y'all stories are just as uniquely as the pairing of you guys being siblings, because your journeys are different. Like I said, 2 years separate you, but it also tells a different tale of how you approach this whole world, but the join at the hip thing, that sibling thing is powerful, man. And don't let nobody break it. But more importantly, I'm just happy you guys took the time to come on Money Making Conversation Masterclass, because what y'all doing is something that I've lived all my life. Sometimes when I tell people I have a math degree, if I tell people I got a math degree today, they go, whoa. So I know what I've accomplished in my past still carries a lot of weight 40 years later. And so, and with that being said, you guys are in the middle of it. My daughter, her degree is going to be in game design. So I'm going to get to watch her venture into your world, and also get her to hopefully become a star in your world, because she know daddy don't play the stereotype game. I'm a break through the glass ceiling type guy. I do it through diplomacy. But I do it through also being organized and have a plan of action. You guys have done it with your plan of action. I want to thank y'all for coming on Money Making Conversation, man. Y'all incredible, by the way.
Yeah. And, it's cool that you say that too. There's a lot of people that we've dealt with You mentioned Kipper and Limitless at the beginning of the show, and that's kind of what started to drive this mission even more. We were showing we got called in to show some kids some virtual reality stuff, some of the games that we were working on. And we walked in and we see a team of kids, in this Limitless program, and they're all coding. And I'm talking like second grade, third grade, fourth grade, right? And they're coding, and, we were learning about these kids, and we were more amazed by them than they were by us. And we're watching these kids, they've been entering these robotics competitions, getting better every year. And they're using this, the Kipper curriculum. And we're like, yo, how do we get this to more people?
Right.
And so we started working with them to build this robot simulator that can teach a kid how to code without being in a classroom. Right. We know kids are playing video games. You say your daughter's into game design. I'm pretty sure she plays video games.
Absolutely.
And if that's what's getting kids involved, right, then we're like, how can we pull in this curriculum, put the medicine in with the candy, and teach them how to code with something that they want to do anyway. So now we're not chasing them to go into a classroom. We're saying, hey, just play this game, play with your friends, play online, go through these missions, go through these challenges, go through the story. And before they know it, they're solving problems coding. Right. And so this robot simulator that we're working on, that we're raising money for, we think, and it's specifically targeted, to people of color, inner city kids, reducing that barrier to entry so that people understand, like, hey, this is going to be like a second language to them. Just like social media, like kids growing up with social media, they can run circles around older people trying to be on social media, right? So if we can get this simulator into these schools, into people's hands, and have kids go through this curriculum without necessarily realizing they're going through a tried and true curriculum, then we feel like we can start to plant the seeds in our communities, and kids are going to, grow these skills and really start to increase our power in this industry, our presence in this industry.
Absolutely.
And so, if we can get more kids in tech, more kids in video games, then we'll be able to tell our stories and create the tech of the future. So, when we still read about, oh, you watch this stream, or you watch certain things, or you do certain things, like, oh, that was co-created by a Black person, or that was created by this person, like you said, the hidden figures. Right. And
hey, Harold, are you just gonna let Han talk, man? You gonna let him? Man, you talk for 3 straight minutes. I told him he could talk, boy, and he about to go on. He about to go on, but I appreciate it. I gotta bring y'all by separately. Han, I want you to you wanted to say a couple of things, because Harold, that motivation and inspiration. Let me tell you something, man. I graduated from high school in 1976. Okay, and so it took me 7 years to graduate from college because I didn't know what I wanted to do. When I look at my daughter in game design, she doesn't listen to the music I listen to. She can care less about dancing. She can care less about being social. She's focused. She can care less about the walking around in tailored clothes. You know what I'm saying? She her phone works. She got a Surface. She got an iPhone. She got a laptop that she does all her game design, and she has a MacBook. So she got all the tech. So she's happy as she can be, because she can do an edit and everything. But the number one thing that when you look at these things, Hans, when you realize that you stepped out into a world that was so different than what was expected of you, what makes you smile?
I mean, just being able to enjoy like what you're doing. Like at the core of all of this right now, it's like I grew up playing games. I love playing games. It's an escape, but it's also an avenue for learning problem solving, improving yourself, keeping your mind sharp. And I think it's getting to the point where more and more of the mainstream is realizing the benefits of that kind of interaction. And the fact that we can use that as a way to teach people at a younger age that there's value in this, and that it can be valuable from a fun standpoint, and it can be valuable from a career standpoint. Being able to go to work and enjoy what you do and be able to share that with people on a grand scale, it's just exciting. And just being able to take the work hat off and then still enjoy that piece,
right?
From a just, I'm just relaxing and just want to escape for a bit,
right?
It's great.
Guys, I'm talking to, if you want to put a sports comparison, I'm talking to the Michael Jordan and LeBron of what they do. Just put the right hats on it. Because see, as I wrap up, I hate when I meet people like these two guys, they say, we were just playing video games. I'm just doing what I love. I'm going to tell you something. I could play video games, but it reached the point where my skill set, love wasn't going to keep it going. I just had the skill set, and I didn't have it. So I always have to push people back like you two and let y'all know how brilliant y'all are and how different y'all are. Y'all can be in awe because at a young age, you're seeing, what if I could have done that at their age? What I could have been at my age. That's the awe part that y'all are. But what's making it possible is that they can see y'all end results now. See, I didn't have an end results like you guys when I was playing games. I didn't have a Hans and a Harold to go, man, I can be like those two guys. Look at them. Wow, they look just like me. So know that when I say that, I don't say that in a joking manner. I'm just labeling y'all correctly, man. When you stand out in the field that separates you, when I look at that, I look at LeBron on that tonal commercial. Brother, 38 years, my body didn't look like that at 38. Come on now. Y'all body probably don't look like that now. Okay? Let's go and be real. Jordan, he still has the most popular basketball shoe out there, Michael Jordan. And he's almost 60. And so being relevant. And I just want to tell you, man, do not undersell y'all brilliance, man. You guys can share that little corny story that we just doing what we love. Nah. Y'all have went beyond doing what you love because love, I love to play video games, but I hit a wall with my talents. Just like I hit a wall with my talents with physics, and I had to go to a different direction. God gave y'all a gift, man, and I'm gonna stick with y'all, man. I'm gonna stay in communication with you guys, because brother, I want to be there when y'all start breaking the next ceiling of opportunity for people of color, my daughter, everybody, because y'all the next stars, man. Y'all the next future. When y'all get 50, man, y'all they're gonna have award shows with trophies with y'all names on them. Okay.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Looking forward to it. Now, hopefully, the people that are giving us those awards are people that we've helped get. Oh,
don't worry, brother. Don't worry, Harold. I'm telling you. My life has been interesting, man, because I had a birthday the other day, and people always text me, man, thank me, saying what I did for their lives, how I made a difference, and I was just being Rashawn, just like I'm being Rashawn with you guys right now. I'm going to tell you how I think. You can take it however you want to take it, but I'm telling you the truth. Stop acting like y'all regular. Be the stars who y'all are. Y'all are doing stuff, man, I can only just admire. I can't even comprehend. I can pick up this phone, I can dial it, but y'all can take this phone and do something else with it, and I go, really? That's the same phone I got? Wow. So I'm just telling you, exercise your brilliance and don't let it be undersold by anybody, even in an interview. And it's a thing I call bragging, acknowledging your greatness. Continue to acknowledge your greatness, fellas, because y'all are very, very special. Thank you for coming on Money Making Conversation Masterclass. I appreciate y'all.